What's going on, YouTube family? Today we're going to be talking about how car payments have gotten absolutely insane. Now, it's no secret that the automotive industry has been an absolute roller coaster ride the last few years, with vehicle prices and values going way up, now coming back down to earth, as well as approvals from banks, and basically all-time record high debts, delinquencies, and deficiencies. It's getting much harder to buy a vehicle, but yet we still have millions of Americans that are going out buying cars they really can't afford and getting themselves in financial debt. So today we're going to be talking about the do's, the don'ts, but more importantly, the whys. Also, a huge shout out to SalesAid for sponsoring this video, but more on them later. So I get messages all the time of people telling me to react to some of these crazy TikTok videos about people's car payments, and I already seen it. I've seen people pay $2,000 for a Kia Telluride. It's absolutely hilarious. Even in my own real journeys of being a car dealer, I've literally had to sit people down, customers, and tell them, hey, I don't think you should buy this car because I don't think you can afford the actual repairs, the insurance, or the payments. And you know what the customers tell me? Don't tell me what I can buy. Don't try to sell me something I don't want. I want to buy this car. I deserve it. I want it. And guess what happens? 9 times out of 10, that car ends up at repo auctions and I buy it back 6 months later. So at the end of the day, I know a lot of people want to blame the banks and the dealers because they're the bad guys, but nobody's holding a gun to your head telling you need to sign this contract to get yourself in the financial debt. Now, with all that being said, I want to be transparent and talk about my own issues with my car payments. Now, as of today, between my 3 cars and my car insurance, I'm paying $7,000 a month. Now, I know that's absolutely horrendous, and some of you guys are probably scratching your heads, but the reason why I do this is because, one, I love cars. But is that a justified reason? Hell no. Why should I pay so much money for the car? And this is where I go into the whys. Now, at the end of the day, it's all about the ROI for the vehicle, which I'm going to explain here in this story, but I wanted to tell you a little bit about my current situation before we go into this, and then at the very end, I'll explain why. Now, I was talking to one of my subscribers, and he was telling me that, he's been trying to buy this Dodge truck for a long time, and they wanted $70,000 for it. Well, he messaged me yesterday and said they just dropped the truck to $60,000. And he's like so excited. He waited. He was watching my videos. He's like, I'm going to go buy it. And I asked him, what are you currently driving right now? He's like, well, I'm driving a 2011 Toyota Corolla with like 120,000 miles. I'm like, does the car run and drive perfect? He's like, yeah, it drives perfectly. I'm like, what are you going to do with it? He's like, well, I'm going to trade it in for the new car. I was like, okay, well, they're probably going to give you, let's say $1,000 for trade-in because it's an old car, maybe even $2,000. That won't even cover sales tax on the car. So is a $60,000 truck really such a great deal? So I told him, if you buy this truck and you have good credit, let's just say they give you 8% interest. 8% over 72 months, that's $1,050 car payment. Is that still a good deal? He's like, yeah, I think so, $1,000. I'm like, okay, what do you pay in insurance every month for your Toyota Corolla? He's like, well, I pay $100. I'm like, okay, well, now that you're gonna have to have full coverage, not liability, and it's a much more expensive truck, just at the minimum, let's say it's $300. So now you're up to $1,350. Is that a good deal? He said, yes, I think it still is. I'm like, okay, what about gas? What do you spend in gas every single month? And he says probably close to about $100 because the Corolla is really good in gas and he doesn't live that far away from his job. I was like, okay, well, the truck's gonna get a lot worse gas mileage than your Corolla, so let's just bump this up to $300. So with all in, you're looking at a new adjusted price every month around $1,700. That's a lot of money. And so then I proceeded to ask them, how long do you think your Toyota Corolla can last? 1 year? 2 years, 3 years? Can you drive it to, 200,000 miles, you think? No problem. And he thinks that he can drive it another 3 years, no issues. So I had to break out the calculator. I'm like, okay, so if we take 1,700 and then we divide that by 3 years, in that total time, if you were to keep your Corolla and put all this money away, it would be $61,000 is what you'd be paying out over the next 3 years. So then I asked him, is a new truck worth to you $61,000? Or should you just keep your Toyota Corolla that's perfectly fine that you can drive? And he sat there, and probably about an hour later, he messaged me back on Instagram saying, I'm just going to keep my Corolla. I'm just going to wait. Maybe I'll buy a $20,000 truck and save some money. I said, I think that's a great decision. Now, this is a very telling story of where we're at as a society, that people just want to buy cars that they really can't afford, that they don't even need, to impress people they don't like. Another anecdote I'm going to tell you is one of my friends, Bradley. Now, he is also a YouTuber, and he was looking at buying another car because he's been driving his Denali since, I think, 2020, and he's ready to upgrade it. And so he wanted to buy, I believe it was a 2021 G-Wagon, and he found a great one with low miles for $150,000. So he told me that he's going to buy this thing. He's going to give his Denali to his mom, and this is going to be something for himself. And I'm like, well, your Denali, does it have any issues? He's like, no, it's perfectly fine. And I did the exact same thing with him. I told him flat out, okay, if you're going to be financing a $150,000 car, are you putting any money down? He's like, yeah, I'm going to put 10 grand. I'm like, okay, well, that's just going to cover your sales tax and your doc fee. So you're going to finance 150,000. If you buy it from Mercedes and you have good credit, they're probably going to give you somewhere around maybe 5% interest. So at 5% interest with all your sales tax, you're looking at about $2,600 a month. On top of that, let's just throw in $500 for car insurance. He's already drinking a lot of gas, so it won't really matter. So your monthly payment is going to go up $3,100. And then I asked him, how long are you going to keep it? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? He says probably about 2 years, then I'm going to upgrade. So I'm like, okay, let's do the math. Let's times $3,100 times 24 months. And that equals a total of $74,400. So for 2 years, is it worth driving a G-Wagon that you're just going to drive around for fun? Is this going to be for business purposes? Are you going to write it off on your taxes? What is the reason for this? And he just flat out told me he just wanted the nicer car. So the exact same story. Everybody wants a nicer car. So I'm like, well, what is if you were to not do this? If you were just to take $3,100 a month, drive your perfectly good Denali that has 30,000 miles for the next 2 years, and put $3,100 a month into, I don't know, crypto, some sort of investment, money market account, whatever you want to do. And if you left it for 10 years, the app's telling me that it'll be somewhere around $218,000. So obviously, I know a bunch of my YouTube friends are financial YouTubers and always telling me that cars are the worst depreciating asset ever made, blah, blah, blah. So I hear it all the time. And I understand. I'm a car guy. Gasoline literally flows through my veins. Remember, I'm an idiot that has $7,000 a month worth of car payments. And so I explained to him and I told him, like, what is the ROI of this situation? And he kept telling me, well, I don't know what you mean. I'm like, what is your return on investment on buying a car like this? Why can you justify this crazy high car payment? Now, a lot of people will say because I can afford it or because I want it, which are perfectly fine if that's the route you want to go. But I want to ask you guys, as a society that always wants to be a consumer and buy, is this the right thing? Now, when I talk about ROI, I mean something completely different. Now, if you're buying, let's say, a Jeep, and you're buying it to go four-wheeling on the weekends, you're not going to be going out to bars and clubs, and you like to go hunting and camping, that's your ROI. It's investment into maybe your personal life or your mental health. If you don't want to spend $300 a month on a psychiatrist, you'd rather just go out and drive and hang out in the lake and woods and go camping, I can see that as an ROI. If you're a real estate agent and you want to buy a nicer four-door sedan so you can take your clients, drive around to some of these meetings and pick up more people, I can understand the ROI. So you can fit more people in your car, have a nicer car, and get more clients. That's some of the stuff we're talking about. Now, majority of the people, unfortunately, that have these crazy car payments are people like, I won't say his name, but I know he watches my thing. He is a dental assistant here in Las Vegas. He drives a Ford F-350 diesel dually crew cab. Now, if you ask him, does he tow anything? Of course not. He doesn't have anything that needs to be towed. No boats, no horse trailer, none of that stuff. Okay, well, does he do off-road activities? Nope. He lives in the city, will never go camping, never go hunting. Then why does he need a dually diesel F-450 crew cab? That's because that is the coolest truck, that is the nicest truck, and he's from Texas, and he believes this is his version of a Lamborghini. So now he has a beautiful $100,000 truck that he never uses for what its intended purpose. So what is the ROI on this? Well, he's not self-employed. He works for a company, so he can't write off in taxes. There is no ROI. There's no return on investment for wasting all this money. And as a regular person that's driving a truck that you're using as a daily commuter that's a 450, why don't you buy an F-150? And why even buy a new one? Why buy a used one? And so this is why we're in such a payment craze, because everybody has to have the nicest car, the nicest truck. I make fun of truck people for a little bit, but everybody has to have a 4x4 crew cab. Why? If it's you and you have no kids, why do you need a crew cab? Because it's the best. Why do you need a 4x4? Because it's the best. Do you ever go 4x4ing? No. Okay, then who cares? Oh, resale value. Okay, you're going to get $3,000 more when you sell it. I just see people literally going into debt for absolute no reason. It's usually to impress people that they don't even know or don't even like. And that's some of the issues that go core with us. Now, the only way to afford some of these crazy car payments is to make more money. And that's where our sponsor, SalesApe, comes in. The AI sales rep that's built to help small businesses close even more deals. If you generate over 50 leads a month and you're busy doing other things and you miss replying and lose the sale, that affects your bottom dollar. And that's where SalesApe can help you and be your superpower. Used by hundreds of dealerships, real estate agents, along with construction companies and service providers, and SalesApe is backed by over $20 million of top-tier investors. Now, SalesApe's AI instantly qualifies leads as they come in, engages high-intent buyers, and books appointments 24/7, even when you're off the clock. More sales leads to less overhead. I use SalesApe on my website, and it helps me book all of my appointments as well as my consulting calls, and if you guys want any type of training, as well as I'm going to start using it at my dealership to help make sure I keep engaged with my customers while we're communicating. So definitely use the link down below. Check out SalesApe. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. AI is a great tool to help you manage your business, and I think SalesApe will do tremendous things to help you close more deals. So make sure you check out the link below, tell them that Lucky sent you, and let's get back into the video. When I talk about my own situation with my Mercedes G-Wagon, it's a lot of money. Just that alone is about $4,000 a month. Now, a lot of you guys are thinking to yourselves, well, God, Lucky, how can you justify something like this? Now, the first one is it's over 9,000 pounds. I'm going to bonus depreciate about 80% of it. So I'm going to get majority off of my taxes as being self-employed, as being a YouTuber, and as being a car wholesaler and broker. So I will get money back from that, actually a really big chunk. On top of that, I'm into it less than $200,000. So if I were to sell this today, hopefully I would get close to about $500,000 for a good quality replica G6x6. So I actually have equity in the car. On top of that, here soon, I'll be making videos. Hopefully I go to Monterey Car Week. It's going to be at SEMA at the Hankook booth. It's going to be at a bunch of other car shows, TV shows that I have coming up that I can't tell you about, but it's going to be popping off. All these things that car is going to be used in. I'm also going to be using it to pick up cars from the auction. So I can justify the cost and the ROI because it's giving me views, it's giving me subscribers, it's helping me meet people. And when I go to a car show, I guarantee you I'll be the only Mercedes G6x6 in the area, except for probably Monterey Car Week. I think there's 2 of them over there. But that's some of the stuff that we're talking about is the juice worth the squeeze? Now, when it comes to my 6x6, yes. But my other cars, the Audi SUV, and I have another A7, probably not. They're overpriced. I should probably buy something cheaper. I admit my own faults. I bought a really cool smart car that I'm going to be fixing up, and that's going to be my daily driver. But at the end of the day, like I said, it's like if you could justify the cost with your ROI, I think you're safe. But Americans, like I said, seem to buy cars they simply can't afford. So why am I talking about this now? Now, I think this is going to be a big deal moving forward the next few months because interest rates are going to be coming down. So a lot of people are on the sidelines waiting to buy stuff once the rates go down. On top of that, there are a lot of manufacturers offering incentives to buy new cars. Now, why aren't they waiting for the government to lower rates? It's because they want to sell their cars at full retail so they can keep the prices high and then next year raise them up even higher. Because why give you a discount when they could just play with funny money and finance you themselves? So think about it. Would you rather buy an $80,000 truck at 0% interest and pay all that money? Or would you rather pay that same truck, maybe a year old, $60,000, pay 5% interest, and then hopefully once the rates go back down, refinance it for maybe 3.5%? These are some of the things that I know a lot of Americans are going to be facing here shortly. And I see the downward pressure on the market because the manufacturers and the banks and dealers, we all know that the market is slowed down dramatically. And the only way we're going to move cars is either offer better financing and lower the prices. Because at the end of the day, I hate to say this, it's all about the car payment. Americans don't care about how much they pay for the car, which is sad and true. All they care about is what is my monthly payment? Can I squeeze every last juice out of my paycheck to pay for a car that I can't afford? It used to kill me. I remember when I had a credit union that went from 72 months to 84 months. We sold an additional 10 cars per month because we're able to squeeze out that little bit of money to make the customer happy that he was paying less monthly. Even though he's paying more with the interest on a longer term, as long as we could have got his payment down from, $675 to $650, he was so excited because it's $25 cheaper. But at the end of the day, he's probably going to pay another, $3,000 in interest over the term of the loan. But this is the way Americans are basically educated. Nobody sits down, takes the time to figure out, the do's and don'ts, but like I said, more importantly, the whys. why should we buy this car? What is the ROI on my investment? I know, like I said, cars are a depreciating asset, but this is something that I think that everyone's starting to look at a little bit more clearly, especially with the massive fall off of EVs, because I know a lot of people bought those for the tax savings. On top of that, they don't want to buy gas anymore. So I understand it's cheaper to buy an electric car, plug it into your house, than going and getting gas every week. So I can see the savings there. You paid a little bit more money for it, but you're getting that money back in gas. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to keep it for about 10 years to offset the cost of buying a used Toyota Corolla. But hey, these are some of the ways we justify the ROI to ourselves. So as you're sitting in front of your computer, scrolling through all these cars for sale online, I want you to think to yourself, what is the ROI on this vehicle? What is the return of investment? Is this car gonna bring you more customers, more clients? Is this car gonna give you the ability to go out of town when you need to? Is this car going to, maybe make your life a little bit better with traveling outside with your kids to go camping, fishing? Is this going to help your family life? Is this going to help you maybe not be depressed? You don't have to spend money at a psychiatrist to tell them you hate your coworkers. However you want to justify the ROI, if it's actually enough to offset the cost. If you start thinking like this before you purchase a car, I promise you, the way you buy a car will be completely changed. And so this is why a lot of real good car people never lose money on cars, because even like my R8, I lost probably about $40,000 in value because I drove it for 2 years. I put 40,000 miles on it and I took it all over the US. I did rallies, I did all this stuff. Now, a lot of people are like, wow, you bought it for 185,000, you put an exhaust on it, you sold it for 140 grand, you lost a bunch of money, $40,000. But the people I met, the other YouTubers I met, the content I did with this channel led me to here. I've made all that money back and then some because of the opportunities that this vehicle afforded me. Now, I'm not saying to go out there and buy a $200,000 supercar, but at the end of the day, it's like if you could justify the means and you can see reasonably how this will better your life and actually bring some sort of investment to you, then I say you should do it. But anyways, I'd love to know your opinions in the comment section below. What do you think of the current state of the auto market, the crazy car payments, the average person paying close to $800 a month now? We're getting really close to getting some of these average used car payments over $600, which is crazy. So let me know what your opinion is on the market. If you have any friends that have crazy car payments, put them in there as well. And if you have some crazy ones, put them in there. I'm going to react to them down in the comment section below, and we'll see you guys next time.